All right, everybody, we are back here once again for another round of my Oscar nomination predictions for the month of October, as once again, I will be predicting the big 8 categories, from the screenplays to the acting categories to directing, all the way up to Best Picture. First up, as always, we have to talk about some updates that has occurred since the last prediction video. The most notable one I want to mention is something I probably should have not done, was doing my September predictions a bit earlier than usual, because I did it a week after TIFF, but I wanted to do it before the New York Film Festival. And I think it was just because I thought Blitz was the opening film. It's actually at London that it was the opening film. So, yeah, that was kind of my mistake. But the main thing is, the People's Choice Award winner at the Toronto International Film Festival, The Life of Chuck by Mike Flanagan, is not going to be coming out this year. Neon had picked it up a week after the film won at TIFF, and they are scheduling for the summer of 2025. So it won't be qualifying for this season, so it is going to be interesting without the TIFF winner for the first time in a while this season, although it could just be maybe going into next Oscar season, but it would depend on how next year's TIFF winner is also going to be. And also, you got to keep in mind, Neon's going to campaign the hell out of Anora, so they probably didn't want another big film festival winner competing with the one they're prioritizing more so. And speaking of campaignings, some FYC ads have been showing up for some of these studios. That is one of the another things I want to mention. Joker Folie, Deux, not going to happen in one way, shape, or bit. And we also even just recently heard, speaking of Warner Brothers, Dune Part 2 is going to be ineligible for original score. So you're telling me that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny score was eligible and not Dune Part 2's? Even though I have not seen that, but it's just like, that's just kind of questioning. Now let's talk about something that I have, what is right now my wild card. Now, I know there are 4 notable films that have yet to see in the public eyes, unless if you're counting early screenings, but we do not trust those, that are coming out in November that didn't have like a proper festival run. I know there are a lot of people that are thinking, what is that movie that comes out in November that it's going to jump into the Best Picture race? Obviously Gladiator 2, there's Wicked, Here, but what I would say is my wild card right now, before it premieres this upcoming week at the AFI Film Festival and then its official theatrical run, is Juror No. 2, Clint Eastwood's final motion picture in the director's chair. This is the wild card, I would say, at the moment for this final week of October before it screens at AFI Fest and its official theatrical release this on November 1st. So we just, because I'm recording this on the 25th and we got 1 week from today that this movie is going to come out. And it all depends on that film. If Juror No. 2 is a big hit, and if it's like considered one of the best films of the year, it is guaranteed going to get in the Best Picture conversation. I will discuss more about some of the other categories, like directing, the acting categories, and screenplay. I will say, at the moment, since this is the end of October, I don't have it in the nominations themselves. I just have it in the bottom tier, courtesy of the awards expert app that I have them in that ranking system. So you will see it in, like, what I would say, like, the bottom tier candidates, like the bottom 5 candidates, to be precise, or bottom 10 for Best Picture. And what could be, they have potentiality. It just really depends on how those films are going to do. And Juror No. 2, at the moment, at the end of October, on this recording on October 25th, is my wild card. I don't have it predicting anything for it to get nominated. It's just that it is on the outskirts. So, starting this up in adapted screenplay, if I didn't have The Life of Chuck last month, this would have been my lineup. And it is at the moment for October, and that is Conclave, Dune Part 2, I'm Still Here, The Room Next Door, and Sing Sing. Conclave, as of just this recording, has officially been released now. Definitely in the outskirts. of the Oscar conversation now, officially, after the film festival runs, and it's definitely now a big candidate, obviously. I don't think there's really not much. I think I'm kind of confident in the 4. Now, I know Emilia Perez is, like, an obvious prediction to go with. It's just the musical aspects not doing something for me. I just also want to make something here that somebody asked me in the last episode, prediction video I meant, where I had Nickel Boys. Obviously, it's kind of a divisive movie, but honestly, I just don't feel for Nickel Boys in general being an Oscar-nominated movie. I guarantee it will get nominated probably in some place, but like, just in the top 8 categories, I don't know if Nickel Boys is going to be a movie like that for the Academy, because it's going to be very divisive, but it could be very talked about, but I'm just not going to put Nickel Boys in general in my predictions in anywhere here, because I just don't know what to deal with that movie is, because I just have no feelings for that, because that's, like, I would say the most infamous Oscar-bait film of this season so far. So yeah, it's just Emilia Perez is the only other movie I can think of that could get in here. We'll still have to see how A Complete Unknown does. If Gladiator 2 is acclaimed, then it'll probably come in here. And then Hitman and the Wild Robot just seems like probably more of critics' favorites. Original screenplay has not changed. It is still Nora, Baby Girl, The Brutalist, Challengers, and A Real Pain. Nothing really else to basically explain here other than, like, if Juror No. 2 is one of the best films of the year, I do think it will get in here. Although there have been some love for Saturday Night, I feel like it's just going to get a Critics' Choice and probably Writers' Guild nomination. Dee Dee is also probably one of her critics' favorite. The Substance has been giving a lot of love. I just don't know. It's just that horror genre bias the Academy has. And although I don't have it high, I have put in September 5th, at least in the bottom tier candidates, because there have been some good reviews of the film, and Paramount is definitely going to be campaigning the movie. It's just, I think, like with Gladiator 2 and Juror No. 2, September 5 or September 5th, as I think they're going to call it, we have to wait and see how that movie does when it officially comes out. But at the moment, I am just sticking with the 5 at the time being. No changes for the supporting actress category. It is still Danielle Deadwyler in The Piano Lesson, Selena Gomez and Emilia Perez, Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, Saoirse Ronan in Blitz, and Zoe Saldana in her lead performance in Emilia Perez, a category fraud that is going to win an Oscar. Now, if Juror No. 2, as I've stated once again, if it is really acclaimed, Toni Collette will probably most likely get in here, unless there is another supporting performance in the film that is more of a standout, so we'll have to see. Joan Chen and Dee Dee, more of a critic's favorite. Monica Barbaro, I don't know how that would do. Like, pretty much, like, all the 7 through 10 I have in here might be more of critics' favorites. Leo Benesh, getting a role like in September 5th could be a potential thing, especially thanks to The Teacher's Lounge last year, which was phenomenal. And although she definitely would have been a great Best Actress nomination, she was, it was just a bitch to take her out of my personal Best Actress predictions. It's just because 4 out of the 5 Oscar nominations that was a strong year for Best Actors, and we'll talk about how strong the competitive is later. But if there is somebody in the cast that could be, maybe her can do it. Even maybe John Magaro for supporting actor, since thanks to Past Lives, he's also in something like a movie like that. But it's just like, I want to see how more that movie does. Supporting actor, I have Kieran Culkin in his lead performance in A Real Pain, Clarence Macklin in Sing Sing, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, Stanley Tucci in Conclave, and Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2. If Gladiator 2 is labeled as amazing, although I'm not going by film festival reactions, if it's not, he is not going to be in here. But one thing is, I finally put Kieran Culkin in here for another category fraud performance getting in the wrong category. Oh, jeez. But yeah, yeah, I don't know why I have not started predicting Kieran Culkin until now, but there is a reason I kind of did put him in, because if you saw last month, I had Mark Idleshine in Anora in here, because I felt like in the last predictions, I felt like the Academy is going to love Anora, they're going to try their best to go all in on it. And I think Mark for supporting actor would have been a thing. But then the FYC ads came in for Neon, and Mark is not the first credited for supporting actor, surprisingly, which kind of shocked me. The one that actually has the first credit for the supporting actor in their FYC ads is Yur Borsonov, who is the Russian hierarchy in the film. So it is interesting he got the first credited for supporting actor and not Mark, surprisingly, for the FYC ad. So I think they're going to campaign more so for Boris instead of Yur Borisov instead of Mark Idleshine for some reason. That's just based on the FYC ad they had. But he is still possible. It's just like, there's not really much of a potential new person entering into the Best Actor race. Like, unless if Nosferatu, when it comes out to December, maybe Willem Dafoe could get in the conversation. I obviously still have Harris Dickinson going in for Baby Girl instead of Blitz. Edward Norton is also a possibility, but I'm just kind of confident in the 5, unless if Gladiator 2 disappoints. We'll see who will be a new candidate to join with the other 4. For this insane competitive Best Actress race for a nomination, I have Carla Sofia Gazan and Emilia Perez, Marion Jean-Baptiste and Chartreuse, Angelina Jolie and Maria, Mikey Madison in Anora, and Saoirse Ronan in The Outrun. So, as you see, I actually put Ronan out front because I feel like this could be the career win for Ronan. Because you got to keep in mind, Sony Pictures Classics has a big year this season when it comes to the Oscar conversation. Obviously, I think The Room Next Door is going to be their top priority for Best Picture. But what if this is the movie that Ronan does basically sweep the season? Because I could see her winning. Well, then again, she did win the Globe for Lady Bird, so I don't know if she would win the Drama Globe for this. It could also go to Angelina Jolie, but because you got to keep in mind, Mikey Madison and Carla Sofia Gazan would be competing in the comedy or musical category. And another thing is, I kind of think of what happened in last year's Best Actress race, because Lily Gladstone was kind of although she had been in a lot of films, but this was like the first big, her nomination last year was the first big major performance from her that got national attention that many people knew about her. That's kind of the similar thing with Madison and Gazan, where it makes sense to go with them because 2 big breakthrough roles and 2 breakthrough performances in big major Best Picture candidates. But the thing is, if Lily Gladstone did not want for like a supposed notable role that got her into the mainstream contention, I don't feel like that's going to be the same thing with Madison Gazan. And since Ronan is very elusive, especially since Angelina Jolie is a previous winner at the Oscars, even though it would make sense for her to win a leading acting Oscar, which could also do it for the Pablo Larraín female trilogy to actually finally get one of the wins, I feel like Ronan could more likely get a career win for The Outrun instead of Blitz. If she doesn't show up for Blitz all this season, I will say she will most likely do at BAFTA. But if I would say if somebody is going to sweep, I would say this entire season, I would say would have to, other than I would say maybe Clarence Macklin or Zoe Saldana, it would definitely be Saoirse Ronan for Best Actress. But then you got to keep in mind, we have an intense competition. I think in recent years, the Best Actress category, I think since 2021, like for the past, 3 years, like the Best Actress category has been more competitive nominations-wise, more so than Best Actor, because obviously it had now been confirmed that both Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore are both going leading in for The Room Next Door, which one studio knows how to make the right category placements done right. Fernanda Torres and I'm Still Here, Nicole Kidman in Baby Girl, and Demi Moore to potentially get her first Oscar nomination in The Substance. It's just like, there's even more. It's just like, there are so many people battling out for that Oscar nomination, and it's just insane. And I put Marion Jean-Baptiste in there because I feel like I do think she will get in the Globes, but also BAFTA as well. And I think that could help her get her in, since she has only been nominated, of course, for Secrets and Lies. But it's just, like, when you look at the competition here, it's just insane, to say the least. And obviously, I think Swinton would be the more likely for The Room Next Door, because she has only been nominated once, which is actually a previous Oscar win she had for Michael Clayton in supporting. But, like, getting her first Oscar nomination in leading would be a deal, especially since she didn't get in for We Need to Talk About Kevin back in 2011. So, yeah, so I feel like Moore's the least likely out of the two at the moment, because she had been nominated a couple times when Swinton has not. But goodness gracious, like, all 10 of these could almost be one of these nominations. It's just like the ones I'm confident that will be in here are just Madison and Gascon, because they're in Best Picture candidates, and all the others are just massive question marks, although I have a little bit more strong support with The Room Next Door, though. But, oh boy, it's like, it's so hard to predict who was going to be the Lady Gaga or Viola Davis or Margot Robbie in this category. I had that originally with Zendaya in Challengers, but I feel like she is probably only going to get at the Globes and maybe Critics' Choice. I don't think she will make it at SAG or BAFTA, because it's so competitive. I mean, wow. I'm really liking how these race for the battle of the nomination has been in this category throughout this recent decade. But Best Actor has not changed, though. It's still Adrian Brody in The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes in Conclave, and Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice. I feel like this is probably going to be the 5, because kind of how it's very different how competitive the Best Actress race has been going to get a nomination. It's been kind of getting bland for a competition for a Best Actor nomination in recent years. I mean, yeah, you have 3 that are in 3 big Best Picture candidates, and potentially 4 with A Complete Unknown. And then you just have, like, nothing really else. Like, unless if Juror Number 2 is labeled one of the best, Nicholas Hoult could come in the conversation. Eisenberg would be more in the conversation for his original screenplay for his movie A Real Pain. Daniel Craig might get a couple of nominations. Glenn Powell, I do think, will probably win the Globe for Motion Picture Comedy or Musical. So I feel like he's going to take that at the moment. And if Gladiator 2 does well, maybe Paul Mescal. It's just that the latter 2 films with the Gladiator 2 and Juror Number 2 is just more of a wait-and-see scenario if they're going to enter in the Best Actress race. Actor race, excuse me. It's just, yeah, Best Actress is just so bizarre how packed the nomination is compared to Best Actor. Directing, I believe I have not changed at all. It's still Sean Baker for Nora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, Edward Berger for Conclave, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and Pedro Almodovar for The Room Next Door. This is almost like the confident, like, 5 I have at the moment, but here's the situation, as I kind of brought up a little bit with Juror Number 2. If Juror Number 2 is labeled one of the best of the year, or if it's like a massive, great swan song to Clint Eastwood, I would not be surprised if Eastwood would become our new Best Director frontrunner after the movie is released next week, or this upcoming week when I'm releasing this video. It's just, you gotta really think about it. It's just like, this could potentially give Eastwood a chance to get his 5th Oscar. Like, if it is labeled one of the best of the year, Eastwood could be our new Best Director frontrunner. Because I still have Villeneuve not getting in for Dune Part 2. Sing Sing, I'm still doing the Coda thing, where it doesn't get in directing, but still wins Best Picture. James Mangold is obviously still a question mark. Luca Guadagnino would get more in for Challengers. Even though I don't have them here, but if Gladiator 2 is another labeled as one of the best, Ridley Scott could come in the Best Director category, especially since he did not win for the first Gladiator. But if I'm still saying Juror Number 2 is my wild card at the moment, so if it's labeled one of the best of the year, don't be surprised if I have Eastwood as my number 1 after the film premieres. Best Picture, only one new addition. I have Nora, The Brutalist, Challengers, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, A Real Pain, The Room Next Door, and Sing Sing. A Real Pain is my new addition to this list. If Juror Number 2 is labeled one of the best of the year, it would definitely be going in. I would say probably maybe top 5, I would say at the moment. And probably Challengers would, I don't know if I would have Challengers still doing the women talking past life scenario where it just gets Screenplay a picture at the moment, but we'll see how that movie and Gladiator 2 does. If both those films do well, then you will see probably the bottom two, A Real Pain and Challengers Go, with The Complete Unknown probably stuck in the 10th slot. I am still confident in The Room Next Door here. I know the Golden Lion winner in Venice doesn't really have a great track record at the Oscars or for Best Picture nominations, but I feel like the bigger industry awards like the Guilds and especially the BAFTAs will really do well for that movie. But I feel like I'm kind of confident in the 7 at the moment. It's just the bottom 3, I'm a bit, but A Real Pain is a new addition to my lineup. Since I do have a screenplay and an acting nod, I still have it. And I'm still doing Sing Sing as the winner, as doing the Coda route, where it wins the SAG Ensemble and goes on to win the Oscar for Best Picture. But yeah, like I said, if Juror No. 2 is labeled one of the best of the year, it's definitely going to get in for Best Picture. Same thing with Gladiator 2. That's also a question mark. It's just like, I know I don't have a lot of supporting Blitz at the moment, which I think it's probably a bad mistake not putting it in for picture. Because it's like not labeled one of his best, from what I hear. Not the worst, unlike some dumb article said Aubrey title it is the worst thing they have ever seen. I don't know. It's just like there are some dumb journalists that try to do clickbait headlines. But I don't like that. But yeah, Juror No. 2 is the only one I'm keeping my eyes out on, depending on how that goes. So yeah, I'm kind of confident the 10, but oh boy, Eastwood is looking at my eye right now. And with that wraps up my Best Picture predictions for the month of October. Not really a big discussion much, because we had a lot of the discussions in the last one, but Best Actress was probably the one that had the bigger discussion, especially with if Juror No. 2 is going to be a big deal. So we'll see how that is in the end of November. Well, I would say probably I would do this before Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is on the last week of November. So I'll be back in the beginning of the week of Thanksgiving for more Oscar predictions and see how Gladiator 2, Wicked, Here, and Juror No. 2 does.